6.8, we're talking about the coordinate plane, obviously right there on the screen. You basically are going to have the same thing with the exception of one little piece of artwork here in a minute. But y'all are going to have exactly the same thing that I'm going to have here on the screen. I'm going to shrink it down just a little. All right. Now, coordinate plane. Okay. Coordinate plane is made up of 4 quadrants. Okay. Quadrant 1 is here. Quadrant 2 is here. Quadrant 3 is there. Quadrant 4 is there. Okay, it goes counterclockwise. Okay, it goes counterclockwise. Now, the coordinate plane is made up of 4 quadrants that are divided with a y-axis and an x-axis. Okay, this is your y-axis right here. This is your x-axis. Okay. Now, as you can tell, they've colored the axes, okay? The positive is the darker color, the negative is the lighter color. So as we look here at the x-axis, it's a darker green, okay? A lighter green, okay? A darker blue, a lighter blue for the y-axis. Okay, the lighter color is the negative. It's basically what you have is a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. Okay, that's all you're basically looking at. So you have your vertical number line here, okay, and you have your horizontal number line there. All right, now, when we're talking about coordinate planes, okay, we talk about points inside the coordinate plane. Better show up. It's always y'all's class that does it, son. It doesn't ever do it on any other class. Yeah, you're special, all right. Yeah. There it is. All right. Changing my Wi-Fi settings there. That'll hopefully help. All right, so as we look at this dot right here, okay, as we look at that dot right there, that dot has 2 coordinates. Okay, it has a y coordinate and an x coordinate. The coordinate is where it crosses that particular axis. Okay, so as we look at this right here, the dot crosses the y-axis at positive 7. So the y-coordinate is equal to 7. Where it crosses the x-axis is right there, and it crosses the x-axis at 5. Okay, so those are the 2 coordinates. Now, when we list the coordinates of a point, we always put the x-coordinate first. Okay, and so the coordinates of this point then would be 5 and 7. That's how you would list the coordinates of that point. We call this an ordered pair. Okay, it's an ordered pair. Okay, it's an ordered pair because you have order. Okay, they go in order, the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. Okay, it's an ordered pair. Okay, you always put the x-coordinate first, the y-coordinate always goes second. Okay, so in this quadrant, your coordinates are always going to be positive and positive. Both the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate will both be positive in this quadrant. Okay, if we go to quadrant 2, And let's say I put this point right here. Okay. Well, where that one crosses the x-axis is at -5. Okay. And where it crosses the y-axis is at 4. So the coordinates of that point would be -5 and 4. Okay, -5 and 4. Yes. If you don't have the parentheses, if you don't list them in order properly, it is wrong. So if you list the coordinates for that point as 4, -5, that would be wrong. Okay, so obviously don't do that. All right, now, let's look at the other one. So here, then, it is negative, positive are your coordinates. The x is always going to be negative. The y is always going to be positive. Okay, as we look in quadrant 3, we'll put it right there. Okay, well, where it crosses the x-axis is at 2. Where it crosses the y-axis is -2. So -2 and -2 are the quadrants there. So in quadrant 3, it's going to be negative and negative is your quadrants, is your coordinates. Okay. Now in quadrant 4, I have a point right there, and as I look up to the x-axis, crosses the x-axis at 10, crosses the y-axis at -6. Okay, so the ordered pair there is 10, -6. It's always the x and then the y on all of these. The x, then the y, the x, then the y, the x, then the y. So here, it is positive, negative. And what you will notice is this one and this one, are quadrant 2 and quadrant 4, are the opposites of each other. Quadrant 2, the x is negative. In quadrant 4, the x is positive. Okay? Just like here, quadrant 1 and quadrant 3, the coordinates are the opposite. Okay, quadrant 1, they're both positive. Quadrant 3, they're both negative. Okay, so that will help you out from where that'll help you be able to find it. Okay, so that's sort of the quadrants and the coordinates. Okay, now here in the middle, you have the origin. Okay, the origin, it's 0, 0 is the coordinates. Now, here's what I also need to show you. Let's say I have a point right here. Okay, I have a point at -8 on the x-axis. It's actually on the x-axis. Okay, well, where does that point cross the y-axis? 0. Okay, so our coordinates for that point are -8 and 0. Now, that point does not lie in any quadrant. Okay? So if you're describing this point, if I'm describing the point 8, 0, I would just say x-axis. Okay? If I was describing this point here, I would say quadrant 4. Okay, because it's actually in the quadrant. Okay, so if it falls then on the y-axis, like our point here at -5 on the y-axis, then that would be 0, -5. And that, how you would describe that point, is the y-axis. So if it falls on the x-axis, its ordered pair would be 0 and whatever the point is. That's why I put a question mark. If it falls on the x-axis, it's going to be question mark 0. Every one that falls, so if I have a point right here, -2, right there, that would be -2, 0. -3, 0. 2, 0. 3, 0. 4, 0. 5, 0. 6, 0. And so on. Okay, so way out here then, if I had a point right there, that would be 10, 0. If I had a point up here at the 9, that would be 9, 0. Excuse me, 0, 9. Okay? And how you would describe those is that they fall either on the x-axis or the y-axis. They do not fall on a quadrant. Okay? The other thing is this. Make sure you understand, let me enlarge it here, understand that I can have something like this. Okay? That is 1, 3.5. Okay, you can have, I can have one that actually is right there. Okay, well that would be 3.5, 3.5. Just hang on here. Got carried away with my parentheses. Okay. Now obviously both those points would fall inside the quadrant number 1. Okay. So, any questions over that? Okay, let me shrink it back down. Celine, did I answer your question?
Does it matter, like, you know how on 10 you wrote, on 9 you put 9, 0, does it matter if it's 0, 9, or 9, 0?
Yes. If it's 9, 0 up there, like if it's 0, 9 and you put 9, 0, that's wrong. Because this point right here, 0, 9, if I say 9, 0, 9, 0 is right here. 9, 0 is here. That's obviously not the same point. They have to be in the correct order. They have to have the parentheses. They have to have the comma, or it's wrong. Okay? Thank you. Throwing pins at you. All right, now, let's go to the next section. Now, on the back page. Okay? Now, as we see here, if you see on your page, I've said which point is located at 0, -9, and it's F. Okay? So that's 0, -9. Okay? Then we've said which point is at -5 and -5? G. Okay? So this is 5 and -5. So what I want you to do is I want you to give me the coordinates for A, B, C, and D on this graph. Put them on your paper. Look at the points and put down what you think the coordinates are for A, B, C, and D. And I want you to describe its position. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, x-axis, y-axis. Okay, so give me the coordinates and describe where it's located. All right. What is the coordinates, or what is the ordered pair for point A? Drew? 0, 7. That is correct. So 0, 7 is the ordered pair, or the coordinates for point A. What is its location? Grant? Y-axis. Okay? So those are the two things that you would need to do on that specific problem. Okay, what about B? Noah, what are the coordinates? 0, negative 1. And it also falls on y-axis. Okay, what about C? Okay, don't get confused. C is not on the y-axis, so Celine. 2 and negative 10. That is correct. 2 and negative 10. And what is its location? Cameron? Quadrant 4. So we would put 4, or you could put quadrant 4. Either one is okay. 4 or quadrant 4. What about D? Cameron? -9 and 0. Yes. -9 and 0. Joshua, what's its location? No, what's its location, not its coordinates? Yes, x-axis. Okay. So, what about E? What are the coordinates of E? Joshua? Yes, -5 and -5. What quadrant is that, Xander? Quadrant 3. That is correct. Yep. Huh? Yes. Okay, what are the coordinates, or what is the ordered pair of I? What would they be? Drew? Yes, -5 and 6. What quadrant is that, Owen? Quadrant 2. That is correct. Okay, now, I want you, we're going to put point W. There's no W on there. I realize that. I want you to graph this point. I want you to graph that point, W. So you're going to find those coordinates, find where the point is located, put a point on there, and then put a W above it so you know where it's at. Okay? So, the coordinates here are -8 and 4. So I start at 0, I go out to -8, which is out there. And then 4 is positive, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So my point would be right there, and we put a W above it. Okay? And that obviously falls in what quadrant? What? Second quadrant. Quadrant 2. Okay? Now, This one you don't have. Don't draw it. It's in your book. So go ahead and turn to whatever page that would be. I think it's 298. Nope, excuse me, 296. It's at the top of the page of 296, maybe. Yes, it is the same one. I couldn't remember if I took it out of my old book or this book. Okay? So, it says on problem number 7, it says, name the ordered pair that represents the point. Okay? So here, you don't have to put the quadrant, you just have to put the ordered pair. Now look down to the next section. Look at 17 through 24. You have to plot the point and describe its location.